Today, I'm going to be going over every single fight on UFC Fight Night ABC Robert Whittaker versus Renier de Ridder. This is my last minute predictions for every single fight on the card. Last week, we went 10-4. However, we did get Paulo Costa right in the co-main event, and we got Max Holloway in the main event, so not too shabby. Our overall record, I will be calculating that, but we're doing pretty good. All right. Moving on to this card, we have a noon card today, Eastern time, because the fights are in Abu Dhabi. They always stack those cards, which is nice. A lot of Russians. All right, first fight of the night, we have Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. Now, I had to do my research on Marcus Buchecha. The dude is absolutely massive. He's jacked. I think he's a little bit shorter than Martin Buday. But he fought in one championship before the UFC, record of 5-1. His only loss was a back-and-forth war against Ruig Rug, who is a beast in and of himself. I think this Marcus Buchecha guy is good. I think he's a 4 or 5-time ADCC champion for Jiu-Jitsu, like a 4th-degree black belt. Submits absolutely everything that moves, everything that has legs, submits him. It says they're the same height here, but I disagree. I think he is probably 2 inches shorter. However, look at his build. I mean, the dude has abs as a heavyweight. If you have abs as a heavyweight, you better believe you're going to be in the top 10. Martin Buday, I think he's 6-1 or 5-1 in the UFC, and he barely scrapes by every single win. The dude just like blobs and hugs people against the cage. He got the last one against Salty Baldiev on his debut, but Salty Baldiev was moving up in weight. It was a very close fight, but Buday was just too big. I mean, the dude is just huge. I think he's like 6'5", or Buchecha might be 6'3", but I saw the weigh-ins. That being said, I think Buday is going to want to push up Marcus Buchecha against the cage, and that's not going to work. Buchecha will pull guard, do whatever he has to do to get the fight to the ground, and probably get a submission here. I'm going to go with submission round 1 for Marcus Buchecha. He has some hands, too. I mean, he has some heart, hands he'll throw. And Buday doesn't really have a ton of power. So if this fight stays on the feet, Budai is probably going to sneak by with a win again. But I do not think that's going to happen. I think Buchecha is going to take him down and submit him in the first round. Let's go, Brazilian. A new Brazilian heavyweight. Dude is huge. I mean, look at that guy. At 6'4", that's insane. I'm going to see him versus Walter Walker at some point. Heavyweight submission specialists. But, yep, we're going to go with Marcus Buchecha by submission. Next up, we have Muhammad Yahya versus Stephen Nguyen. I rated Stephen Nguyen very highly on the Contender Series. He had an absolute war and a scrap. This dude is also 5'11", so he's even taller than Muhammad Yahya. I think Muhammad Yahya had a terrible weight cut, and I think he is just not that good of a fighter anyways. He's on the card because he is from the Middle East, so they're going to have to put him on this card, even though it says he's fighting out of England. I think Stephen Nguyen lost to Jarno Aarons in his last fight and just got outstruck on the feet pretty easily. I was very surprised. I think both these guys are around even on the feet. However, Stephen Nguyen has more power. I see Stephen Nguyen getting a knockout here over Muhammad Yahya. Muhammad Yahya had a terrible weight cut as well, which was very surprising to me, considering he's only 5'9", and not that broad. Stephen Nguyen looked like a beast on the scales, man. I think he's gonna walk forward here, swing with Muhammad. Going to be pretty even on the feet, but Stephen Nguyen's going to be a little bit faster. He's going to have a little bit more power, and I think he's going to get a knockout here. And it looks like he's moving up in weight as well. Oh no, Muhammad Yahya is moving down in weight. Yeah, okay, that's why he looks so worn on the scales, but I don't think it matters. Stephen Nguyen's going to be bigger anyways, and he's going to get a knockout. Moving up the card, we have Ibo Aslan from Turkey versus Turkey, or whatever you want to say, versus Billy Elikana. Now, first of all, Ibo Aslan has the nastiest gyno in all of the UFC. No wonder the dude has power. He was definitely on the sauce at some point. 14-2 versus the 7-2 Billy. Billy is decent. I mean, his last fight was against Bogdan Guskov, who's also fighting on this card. And he did take Bogdan's back at one point. took him down sort of when Bogdan missed some punches, and then took his back, got a body triangle, I believe, and he looked decent. However, it just seemed like it was only a matter of time before Bogdan was going to get out of that in sort of reverse positions and just completely dominate, which he did. On the feet, Alicana looks very slow. He plods forward, throws a lengthy 1-2, followed by a body kick, but Ibo's going to come crashing in. Now, the main thing that comes down to in this fight is Ibo going to be able to stay on the feet and not get dominated on the ground? He lost his last fight to Iwan Kutalaba because he just had zero wrestling. And, that power doesn't matter if you're laying on your back. However, I have seen that Ibo has been training in Dagestan for this fight. He's done a camp in Dagestan, and I'm sure if you send yourself to Dagestan, even for a camp, you're going to upgrade your wrestling by a decent amount. Hopefully. If not, this guy's a complete lost cause. However, he has a whole country behind him. He does have a lot of power. And if he has been working on his grappling like he has said, I do not see why he doesn't beat Billy Alicana, who is just the bottom of the barrel when it comes to light heavyweight. My official prediction here is Ibo does come out swinging and hot, and he connects one punch on Billy, and Billy goes down. We're going to go with Ibo Aslan by knockout. 77.5-inch reach. Billy just seems a little bit frail, too. I'm not going to lie. We'll see how bad Ibo's gyno is this fight. And then he's going to grab the mic and scream about turkey. Hopefully. Let's go. Ibo Aslan by knockout. Moving up the card, we have Amanda Hebos versus Baby Shark Tabitha Ricci. Now, they're trying to hype up Tabitha Ricci here. She is absolutely tiny, though, at 5'1". 61-inch reach is just tiny. Amanda Hebos has gotten a couple of losses in a row as well. They're trying to hype up Tabitha here. But, Rebus just had a close fight against Rose. The difference was she was taken down a couple times. I don't know if Ricci is going to be able to take her down. This is such a hard one to predict. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to go ahead and flip a coin, honestly. Do I have a coin? All right, here we go. Heads, Hebos. Tails, Ricky. Ooh. All right, it's tails. We're going with Tabitha Baby Shark Ricci. I don't like this pick, but we're going to go with her. Moving up the card, we have Davy Grant versus Damon Blackshear. All right, now, I'm a big fan of Davy Grant. He fights for your money. He got that reverse triangle in the last couple seconds of the fight after losing the first 2.5 rounds. But he's getting up there in age. He's, I believe, 39 years old now. And we're looking at Damon Blackshear. We're looking at a guy who just came into the UFC with elite grappling, elite wrestling, and slowly has built himself up as a striker. I know he got KO'd by Montel Jackson in the first 10 seconds. I picked Jackson in that fight, by the way. However, in his last fight, he had to go to war on the feet, and he looked pretty good. He's also only 31 years old. This fight's going to be back and forth, very close. I think more finishing potential on the feet. Definitely have to give it to Davy Grant. However, Davy Grant can get controlled on the ground, which is the reason why I'm picking Damon Blackshear here. I think it's going to be a very back and forth, tit-for-tat fight. But at the end of the day, Damon Blackshear is going to be able to take down Davy Grant and hold him there. He's also smaller. He's not smaller on paper, but Davy Grant's moving down for this fight. So the little man skill is going to come into action here. And Damon Blackshear is going to wrestle and hold down Davy Grant for a decision win. It's going to be close, but Damon's going to do just enough in at least 2 of the 3 rounds by holding him down or wrestling him, getting him up against the cage, striking back and forth to a certain extent, that he's going to win a decision. Next up, we have Muslim Salikov versus Carlos Leal. I totally think that Carlos Leal is going to win this fight. I'm very confident in this pick as well. I'm a huge fan of Carlos Leal. He got completely robbed against Rinat Fakhretdinov. That's another thing that must be said, is these judges are going to be skewed and leaning towards any Russian fighter there is. So if this is a close decision, they're going to give it to Muslim Salikov. Now, to give Muslim Salikov props, he did get a spinning wheel kick KO against Song in his last fight. The dude just always gets spinning wheel kicks. However, Carlos Leal has a big, thick head. Pause. And I mean, people were saying like he was off steroids, whatnot in the Renault fight, but he came back against Alex Morono and looked pretty much the same size. So I don't know, man. I think Carlos Leal is going to come out here, punish the age of Muslim Salikov. He's going to be a little bit too slow. Like Randy Brown knocked out Muslim Salikov, so I think Carlos Leal is going to do it in a similar fashion inside of 2 rounds here. He's a lot bigger. Muslim's not going to go for takedowns. He's going to go for a spinning wheel kick. He might land one, but it's going to be like when Edson Barbosa landed the spinning wheel kick against Khabib, where he just was not phased and kept coming forward. Carlos Leal is going to win this fight by knockout. I think Muslim's chin is a little bit sketchy as he gets older. I'm a big fan of Carlos Leal. I mean, the dude got robbed, came back, knocked out Morono, and at the time, Morono was not getting knocked out like that. And I think he knocks out Muslim Salikov here. Next up, we have Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov. I'm going to start going through these a little bit quicker because I want to get this video out at least before the card starts. I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell here. I think he's moving down in weight. However, him moving down in weight isn't that big of a deal because he was already very small. He stated that at 145 he felt a lot weaker and smaller than his opponents. And he fought just killers, dude. He fought Gian Silva and Ilia Topuria. Ain't no shame in losing to those two. Said slows down as his fights go, too. He's going to start this fight off calf kicking, wheel kicking, doing all this fancy stuff on the feet. But as the fight goes on, Bryce Mitchell's going to establish dominance on the ground 1 or 2 times and win rounds based on that. I see this going to a decision here, but I see Said gassing out and Bryce Mitchell taking over as the fight goes on, using his wrestling, using his striking. I'm going to go with Bryce Mitchell here via decision. Moving up the card, we have Nikita the Miner Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. Now, this one is going to be hard to predict. However, Nikita Krylov is coming back too early, in my opinion, after getting knocked out by Dominic Reyes. He's going to try to wrestle here, and he's probably going to start strong and aggressive, and he's probably going to win the first round, as Guskov tends to take off the first half of the first round for some reason. Dude I thinks he's Peter Yan or something. So I see him losing early, but Bogdan has power and decent wrestling, good cardio. Looks like Anthony Smith. I know that's a running joke. Everyone thinks he looks like Anthony Smith. Of course he does. We never got to see that fight, which sucks. And I think Guskov's going to pull away here. Maybe get a knockout because Krylov's chin is cracked, my son. Cracked. So I'm going to go with Guskov via knockout. Maybe in the 3rd round. Moving up the card, we have Jose Ochoa, who is one of my favorite young fighters, man. This guy and favorite prospect in the flyweight division. This dude is so fun to watch. He's super aggressive. He fights like the guy from Nacho Libre, the skinnier guy who loves the street corn. I can't remember his name now, but if you know, you know. And he's fighting a wrestler grappler, Asu Amabayev from Kazakhstan, who's going to push the pace, try to take you down over and over again, hold you there. Not a lot of finishing potential from him. I think Jose Ochoa is going to win this fight. He might get taken down once, but every time Jose Ochoa gets taken down, it's harder to take him down again. He learns and adapts, and he punishes you on the feet. He comes forward with reckless abandonment, swings, and goes for the finish. I'm going to go with Jose Ochoa by decision, maybe a knockout. And he's definitely going to win the last round. He's probably going to win the last 2 rounds. He might lose the first round because Almabayev gets some takedowns going. But I don't see him doing that for 3 rounds here. I love Jose Ochoa. Big-time prospect. Only losses against Loner Kavanaugh. I think he's going to win this fight. Hopefully by knockout. We shall see. Moving up the card, we have Shara Bullet Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barriault. This is the featured fight. Now, people have been saying Shara has staph infection. It does look like he might have staph infection. So we'll see how that affects his performance here. But it is only 3 rounds, so I think he's going to be able to point fight against Marc-Andre Barriault and get a finish. Maybe in the end of the 3rd round maybe. Or he's going to come out with some steam because of him losing against Michael Venom Page. I definitely think that Shara has everything it takes to win this fight on the feet. Marc-Andre Barriault has okay power, not like the best power ever, but he's very slow, not very methodical, plods around on the feet, doesn't throw enough punches. I think Sharon Magomedov is going to use his body kick, his leg kick, his fists, his spinning stuff, whatever he's got to do, and he's going to win via points here against the Canadian. Every round, I think he's going to pull away in significant strike numbers here. Maybe get a finish, but probably not. I'm going with Shara Bullet Magomedov here to get the win, 30-27. Moving up to the co-main event of the evening, we have Petr Yan versus Marcus McGee. Petr Yan said Marcus McGee is not allowed in his nightclub, and neither are you. I think Petr Yan wins the second half of round 1, wins round 2, and wins round 3, en route to a decision victory here for Petr Yan. Marcus McGee will start fast, probably win the first half of the first round because he's going to be throwing more. But then we saw what happened even against Jonathan Martinez. Petr Yan's going to download that information like a little supercomputer he is and start to take over. I think he will damage Marcus McGee's legs here. He's going to hit Marcus McGee with trips, sweeps, and just start to land the more powerful punches. I don't think he's going to finish Marcus, though, because look at Marcus's head, man. I don't know if he can finish that guy. But are we going to see a vintage Petr Yan 3-round performance here, or 2-round performance, usually how it goes with him? Yes, I think so. I think Petr Yan wins this 29-28 decision. Good fight. Marcus McGee is a good fighter. He's just being jumped up a little bit too early. I think a little bit too early. Yeah. All right. Moving up to the main event of the evening, we have Robert Whittaker versus RDR. This one is hard to predict, but I finally made my prediction when I saw them standing in front of each other at the weigh-ins. Renier de Ridder looks twice the size of Robert Whittaker. I think this fight goes as follows. Robert Whittaker wins the first round, at least the first half of the first round, because RDR has 0 striking on the feet. He has some power, but his head movement is so bad. He looks like Paul Craig on the feet. He's like a better version of Paul Craig, in my opinion. However, once he gets Robert Whittaker in the clinch, and if he and when he does get Robert Whittaker on the ground, it's going to be a problem. This dude is a problem on the ground. I want to see him versus Hamzat badly. I think he loses to Dricus pretty easily, but him versus Hamzat would be a very good fight. So I'm going to go with RDR here because I think he's going to take down Robert Whittaker and submit him. I'm not going to lie to you. Robert Whittaker is a lot smaller. Robert Whittaker is going to get up maybe a couple times, but RDR does a good job of really controlling people on the ground here. And if Robert Whittaker doesn't knock him out, it's going to be round after round of Renier de Ridder eventually getting the takedown on Robert Whittaker. And I think after the first couple times, getting a sub. That is my picks and predictions for this card on UFC, ABC. Sorry for the late post and the shorter video. I just wanted to get my picks out there. I'm revamping my setup currently, so it's going to look a lot better as we start to make more videos. But for now, that is my picks and predictions. I'll see you on my live stream. Peace.